Did you know that staying connected to the ground is one of the most overlooked keys when it comes to hitting the ball farther, being more powerful, more mobile, and staying healthy in the game of golf? Today we'll not only explain why ground force is so important, but also we're going to use actual force plays to show you how impactful having the right footwear can be on your game. I'm Chris, founder and CEO here at P4S Golf, where we help golfers move better, feel better, and play their best. This week's video is brought to you in collaboration with SQAIRZ shoes, because just like us at P4S Golf, SQAIRZ is committed to data, science, and research to help you play your best game by keeping you connected to the ground. So when we want to demonstrate to someone the difference that having a good connection to the ground can make, one of the things that we'll do is we'll use SQAIRZ pads to create an extremely unstable environment and compare that to just standing on the ground. But the first step that we do is we actually look at vertical leap tests. So this is the #1 predictor of club head speed in golfers. We measure the vertical force output when somebody jumps. So the first thing we do is I actually jumped on the SQAIRZ pads. You can see I put my hands on my hips, so I'm not using my arms. It's just how much force can I create into the ground. And when you look at the results, you can see I'm only able to put about if we look at my force output, it's only about 900, between 900 and 1,000, right? Now, if you then look, when I remove the force plates and I redo the same jump test, now look at my force numbers. They go up to almost 1,700. They almost double. So you can see without any complexity of movement, without any rotation, just with jumping, by having a more stable connection to the ground, I'm going to be able to produce almost double the amount of ground force into the ground to produce a vertical leap. And because we know from our research here at P4S Golf, that is the #1 predictor to club head speed when we look at over 15,000 golfers from aged 8 to 95, right? Now we can make the connection that, hey, the club head speed is probably going to be different too. So if you look, what we did next is we put the SQAIRZ pads back on the force plates, and we had me swing a driver as basically my gamer speed, what I would play with out on the golf course. And you can see that I swung at about 107 miles an hour, right? So then what we did is we said, well, let's get rid of the SQAIRZ pads and let's try this with full connection to the ground. And we did this again with the driver, same speed in terms of effort, but if you look at the difference in the club head speed, it's wild. So before we show you what that is, look at how much movement is going on at the ankle and foot joints, right? As I'm trying to swing and balance, right? So there's so much movement and energy going there just to, like, Chris, don't fall over. When I remove that constraint from the system, and now all of a sudden all I have to do is stay connected to the ground, look what happens to the club head speed. Pretty much the same shot shape, but it goes up 7-8 miles an hour. That's crazy. That's over 20 yards. Just by getting connected to the ground. And this is the importance that having the right footwear that matches your foot and keeps you connected to the ground can have on your golf game. Now, when you test actual shoes, right, versus standing on SQAIRZ pads, because that's goofy, but this exaggerates it for you to see, shoes is about a 3-mile-an-hour difference from having the wrong shoe to the right shoe. When we've tested it here at P4S Golf, I know SQAIRZ Golf Shoes has tested this as well. It's a common thing that we have seen over the years. It can be up to a 10-yard difference by just having the right shoe. The big takeaway here is being connected to the ground will increase your club head speed. Being connected the correct way will do it in a safe way. But the final piece here, the most important piece here, guys, is if you're connected to the ground, but you don't have the ability to rotate through your hips, we could be potentially putting our knees at risk. We could potentially be putting our body at risk, and we want to eliminate that risk that we have. So the #1 thing that we want to do in combination with making sure we have the right footwear is making sure we can rotate through our hips. And now the final single most important test that you as a golfer have to pass is the hip internal rotation test. Now this tests your ability to rotate into your trail hip on your takeaway and into your lead hip through impact. If you cannot pass this test, it is the #1 predictor of low back pain in golfers. It's the #1 cause of swing inefficiencies, like coming over the top, initiating with your upper body, hanging back, having trouble staying in posture. All of it comes from this one test and you not passing it. So I've got our director of coaching, Josh, here, and he's going to walk you through this test.
All those things are going to be dependent on your internal hip rotation. So we're going to test both sides. Again, we should be able to internally rotate those hips 40 to 45 degrees. If you're over the age of 50, 40 degrees is great. If you're under the age of 50, 45 degrees would be amazing. So you can see here, I've got a 90-degree angle between my shin, which is straight up and down, and the golf club here. If I just drop that halfway down, that's going to be about a 45-degree angle, okay? So from here, you can hold on to the seat for stability. The rules for this test, no leaning to the side and no lifting up of your butt cheek. We're also not going to kick your foot backwards at all, okay? We're going to keep that foot going straight out towards the golf club. I can hold that in place, sit up nice and tall. I'm going to hover this foot 1 inch off the floor, and then I'm going to try and rotate it out as far as I can. If you can get your foot to touch that golf club without making any major compensations, you can see it's getting a little tight for me in that end range. Okay, that's close to 45 degrees. If you're just getting to here and it's super tight, that is a no pass. Again, do that test on both sides for your hip rotation test. Don't be surprised if you feel a little bit of tightness or cramping in those hip creases. That is fairly typical when you're first doing this test, but we want to have that internal range of motion on both legs. Really, really important. That is your hip rotation test.
It's not a motion that you're normally going to do when you go to the gym, but it is the #1 thing that if you improve that in the next week, not only will unlock more distance, but it also will assure longevity in the game of golf. And when you put that together with the right footwear and a good connection, the ability that you'll have to produce the correct ground force at the right time, which will drive the right sequence, which creates more consistency and ultimately more distance, will be unreal. So go do this test now, see how you do, let us know if you have questions. We're here to help. Our team is here. We want to help you play as much golf for as long as possible at as high a level as possible. And when you combine good physical movement with good connection to the ground, the sky's the limit.